A little while ago, we drafted this fun wrap A-line skirt in Adobe Illustrator, creating this fun little half scale. I love little half scales. They make them so much fun. But today, we are going to recreate this in CLO3D. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally apparel pattern, creating unique pieces of wearable art. And I'm so excited to show you how you can draft an A-line wrap skirt in CLO3D. So let's bring up Clo. I have my basic sloper here already pulled up and on my avatar that fits it. So we kind of have that all started. I am only going to be working with the skirt today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to, whoops, wrong one, wrong tool. I'm just going to move those guys kind of up and out of the way as I am actually drafting my A-line skirt. And I'm just going to draft the A-line skirt. We'll have it seam it together so you can kind of see how it changes it. Then we'll change it into a wrap skirt. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in on the piece that I want to create, or I want to manipulate first. And I'm just going to have it add fullness right down there. And then click that piece. And I'm going to get it to go, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to get it as close as I can, like that. Then I'm going to delete, and we're going to delete overlapping points. Then we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to go grab the fullness, click, and drag. Click on the side you want to manipulate. I always like to zoom in so I can better see. We're going to delete our extra points. I got those. Those are probably a little bit, so I probably, by not completely overlapping like that, I probably did add probably about a 1/16 of an inch to my front pattern. So that's just something to be aware of when I didn't get them as close as overlapping as needed. I probably did add a 1/16 of an inch there. Actually, I can go tell you how much of an inch I did add. I added 0.029. So I added like a 32nd of an inch. Probably not a big deal at all because of how small that is. So then I'm just going to go ahead and delete one of those since I don't need that point. And my front is done and slashed and spread. So much faster than Illustrator, but I still do love my Illustrator. Now we're going to do the same thing on the back. So we're going to start with that one, select the side, like so. We're going to delete overlapping points, grab my tool, click on the point I want to start at, go down to the edge, click on the side I want to manipulate, a little bit too far out, in, there we go. Delete that point, delete overlapping, again a little bit too close, let's see, 0.049, so that is closer to a 1/16 of an inch. I could have gotten that a little bit closer, but I didn't. So there's the A-line. We can now look at it if I simulate it on our form, and since I didn't actually revise anything, I kind of need to give it a little bit of a pull. But as you can see, I should actually take off those baselines because those baselines are a little bit distracting. Delete all baselines, there we go. But now we have it, a nice A-line skirt, and you can see that it's not tight fitting to her anymore. It has that nice little swoosh. Depending on how much of an A-line, you could even pop it out just a little bit more by going straight off the hip here, and that would give you even more of a little bit of a sway. But we want to do a wrap A-line. So we actually don't want a center front seam necessarily. We want two center front pieces that are a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete one of the front pieces because I don't want them to be, right now they're symmetrically mirroring each other. As you saw, I only edited one piece and both pieces did the exact same thing. So I don't want the symmetrical mirror of the pattern. I just want the mirror. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to do a mirror paste. There it goes. I don't know why it wasn't letting me do the mirror paste. That was odd. I'll have to figure out that. And then what I actually want to do is I want to make sure that when I paste it, so right now I can paste it anywhere, but when I do paste it, I want to paste it so that my center front lines are right on top of each other. And I didn't quite get it. I moved it just a little bit. Not a big deal. So we're just going to grab the pattern and move it like so. That way I have that center front pattern looking kind of the way I want to. And then all I have to do is create an internal line, not an internal rectangle, and pick where I want that line to go. I now have that line there. You can do a few different things with it, but I'm just going to keep it super simple. Then we're going to cut that pattern apart and move that pattern off to the side, and we're going to delete it. Get rid of it. Then the next thing, I'm just going to move that off because I don't quite need that visual right now. And what I'm going to do is I am actually going to merge these two patterns. Merge, so they are now one pattern, and we can delete all baselines again to get that out of there. Then we have our front pattern. So we can then do the symmetric pattern and paste it over there so that we now have it on either side of the body. Now I can go ahead and simulate this again, but before I do, because I deleted this pattern here, I'm actually going to have to add back in my sewing this side seam to this side seam, and I am probably, yeah, we're going to have to also edit the sewing for the actual waist. So since I'm going to have to edit it anyways, we are going to just delete it all. And so this still has my dart sewing on it right now. That is what I am deleting because we do not need that dart sewing. So I could either just resew it to the bodice part of my pattern right here, or I could actually just create my waistband. So let's go ahead and create the waistband. So the first thing I need to know is I need to know how big of a waistband I need. Let me pull up my calculator, because right now this is 6.608, so I need to do that times 2. 6.068 times 2 is 12. So now we're going to create a waistband that is 12.136, and we're just going to do a 1 inch. We're going to hit OK, and that is our back waistband. Can I grab it? With the right tool, I can grab it. Now we're going to do our front waistband. Now, you have to remember, this dot right here is actually our center front, so we don't want to measure the entire thing. We only want to measure to our center front and double it. And that is 4.163 times 2. And then we're going to draft another rectangle. That is 8.326 by 1. Oops, by 1. We're going to hit OK, And that is our front. But before we actually will fully seam this together, I want to put some notches on it just so I kind of know where my center front is and where my wrap's gonna hit. So first let's pull up our notch, and I'm going to right click and we're just going to do a uniform split into 2. Okay, well, you didn't uniform split it. There we go. Now you did. Don't know why you did that, but cool. That's cool. Now we're going to also need to know where we're getting our overlap to. So I actually, when I did it, I clicked right on to the second point, so I know that these two added together, which is 3.108. So then we're going to add a notch that is 3.108. That is looking let's make sure my math was right. Yeah. Yeah. So then if we notch it, from that edge, 3.108, why is that not adding up right? Because half of it should be fitting in there. So I don't know why half of it is not fitting in there. That somewhere my math is wrong. There. It gave me a different number that time. Why did it give me a different number the first time? Cool. It gave me the wrong number. I must have clicked something wrong, so we're gonna try drafting that again. So we want a square. I need to actually know what size square we need. I got all excited because I finally figured out where my math was wrong. So we need a square that is double 5.981 times 2, which is 11. So we need a square that is 11.962 by 1. There we go. That's our waistband. Gotta love when you are trying to work stuff out and it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. That looks much better. That looks much more like it will encompass the entire waist. I thought it looked a little small, but you know, sometimes you ignore because it's like, well, I already did the calculations. I know it's right. So we're going to get a uniform split like so. There we go. Now we're going to, let's double check our math again. It's 3.108, so then we're going to notch 3.108. And hit OK. That looks much better. Now we're going to notch this side, which is also 3.108. We're going to hit OK. There we go. Did I notch this one? We're going to go ahead and notch that one. Uniform split. So it's right in the center. Perfect. Now that we have it all uniformed and happy and split, we're going to actually seam it. So let's grab our sewing machine and sew them together like that. Now for the front, you also want to make sure that you sew one on top of the other. So I'm going to first sew this one to that notch, and then I'm going to sew this one on top of it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to layer it out so that that pattern's laying on top of the other pattern, because you don't, if they're right on top of each other, it can get confused and it will kind of snarl up your pattern. So that's just something you have to watch. Then I also want to make sure that I sew together the outside of the waistband. Then we still need to actually place our waistband on our body. So this one's the back. I'm going to get my little cheater dots to place it. Then let's grab the front like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and just grab these back pieces and just move them back a little bit. I didn't need to move you back, but that's okay. I did. So then let's grab my front pieces, not grabbing that top one. We'll move them out. Let's get rid of those dots. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I grab that one, and I want to move it out in front of the other one so that it's not touching. And then that should look good. Now I always kind of double check to make sure I've sewn everything, because there's times where I forget to sew like a single, like there's one, I've forgotten to sew my waistbands together and then it just kind of falls off. But what's great about it is you can kind of double check by just hitting spacebar and seeing how it falls. So now I have this skirt up at her waistband, and I can actually grab just this front skirt piece, and you can see it's actually a wrap skirt that moves around. Just like so. Nice little A-line wrap skirt done on CLO3D. I do love how fast it is and how fast you can actually see your creations come to life in CLO3D. It's so handy to have that avatar right there, and you just kind of have to get used to how it works within it. So definitely make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you're interested to see how I drafted the same pattern in Adobe Illustrator, you can definitely check that pattern out here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!